Welcome to Spectral Shadows. This is the place where the stories don't just haunt your mind, they follow you into the dark. Before the whispers begin, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it? Midnight? Or closer to the hour when shadows move on their own? If you're brave enough to continue, prove it. Like this video, subscribe to Spectral Shadows and leave a comment with your time and location, so we'll know exactly where to find you. Now, let's open the door to tonight's nightmare. Story number 1. I won't give too many details about which hospital I work for. I'll only disclose that I work somewhere in Ohio. Also, please forgive me if my writing is poorly written or erratic. I am currently scared for myself and all of the general public. I guess I should start from the beginning. Exactly 1 week ago, I obtained my Bachelor of Science in nursing and was excited about starting up my career. I was looking for a fresh start and went online to find some out-of-state nursing jobs. That's when I stumbled on a too-good-to-be-true job. The salary was starting at $90,000, with a potential for a $10,000 yearly raise after 8 months. The job was located at a small town in Ohio. I was asked to not disclose any information associated with the town or hospital while working there, or after my termination. I understood patient-doctor confidentiality, but this was a step beyond. I figured that I'd never hear from the hospital, but the next day they'd called me and said they wanted to try me out. "We'll need you next week. I know that's short notice, but we'll pay for a hotel until you find a permanent residence," the woman said on the other line. I packed my bags and moved across country, leaving my home in the hands of my mother until I found a buyer. Once I boarded the plane, I noticed that I was the only one aboard the flight. I didn't think much of it, because I figured that most people didn't want to visit Ohio in December. The flight attendants were less than kind. They rushed through the safety procedures and glared at me with pure hatred. "Can you believe we have to travel there?" I heard the younger attendant say to the older one. "We aren't getting off the plane, honey. It's okay," she said, reassuring the woman. Was Ohio really that fucking bad? The older attendant came over with her cart. "What'll it be? A soda? Or how about a vodka soda?" "Oh, water is just fine," I say. She hands me the mini bottle. "So why are you heading up there anyways?" "I'm a nurse, and I found a job I'd be stupid not to take," I say, taking a sip of the water. "We haven't had a flight up here in years. To be honest, we didn't even know this small airport was still open. Becky and I," she pointed to the other attendant, "we really needed the money." "Well, that's how small towns are sometimes," I say. "Yes, but be careful, honey," she says hesitantly. "Why?" I ask. "There have just been a lot of rumors, is all. Of course, they're all just rumors we heard from one of the attendants that spent the night at one of the local motels there." She dozed off and stared out the window. What kind of rumors? But before I could ask her anything else, the attendant started talking. "Well, this is your stop," the pilot said abruptly. "I hope you had a safe flight." "Just be safe," the woman said, a frown burrowing across her brow. "We really need to go," she said, helping me get down my luggage. I watched as the airplane wheels screeched against the airport. It did seem rather odd out there. The sky looked different, much darker than I had seen anywhere else. I stepped out of the plane to smell a strange scent that I wasn't accustomed to, possibly a mixture of burnt pine and a slab of pork. I watched as the airplane door quickly shut after me. The older attendant stared out the window before she was just a small pixel in the distance. I entered the airport terminal, which was almost empty minus a dreary-looking family. The father and mother gently cradled their young child. She was coughing profusely. What I found most bizarre was that the family's skin had a yellow hue, despite them being African American. I walked by them as I stared at the young child. I hoped they were headed to the doctor. I grabbed my luggage and waited for the cab to pull up. Minutes later, I saw the yellow taxi. I hopped inside, and the man was a pale yellow color, similar to the family I had seen. The hospital requested I drop off my bags at the hotel and head to the emergency room immediately. Once I pulled up to the hospital, it looked nearly empty. There were several cars that appeared to be in the parking lot for ages. I paid the cabbie and entered the hospital to find the receptionist less than enthusiastic. She, too, was coughing profusely. I quickly learned that all of the doctors and patients had yellow skin and appeared to be coughing. "We are so glad you are joining our team," one nurse said weakly. "As you can see, we have all caught the flu and need all the help we can get." "Of course, I'm glad to help any way I can," I say, looking around the corridors as the nurse gives me a tour. "It's so quiet," I say. "I'm used to so much noise in Los Angeles." "Yes," the nurse replies, "it is." As I walk by most of the rooms, I notice that there are little to no patients. "Where is everyone?" I say. "We just discharged many of our patients," she says, coughing into her sleeve. "Follow me to meet Dr. White. He's the one who hired you." I follow her into a corridor, which is farther away from the patients' rooms. We head down a pair of stairs into the basement. "His office is down here. We just need some paperwork that you forgot to complete." I entered the office, which read Dr. White. As I opened the door, I saw that there's no one in the office and start to feel a little apprehensive. "No one is in here," I say, starting to feel slightly impatient. "He was in surgery. Give him a minute," she says. I waited for 5 minutes and finally heard the door open. "I'm Dr. White," the man said. He looked far worse than the nurse or the child at the airport. "I'm Katrina. Nice to meet you." He coughed for a good 2 minutes. "We need all the help we can get. Our town has an epidemic." "What sort of epidemic?" "One that we have never seen before. I'd tell you to wear a mask and gloves, but it didn't help us much." "But there is a cure," he said, standing up from his chair. "Well, that's great news," I say. "Unfortunately, it's harder to obtain than we originally thought. Not many people are willing to visit. This disease affects the nervous system in a way humans have never seen before. First, it starts with your body turning a slight yellow, followed by a cough. Then the flu. Your body reaches temperatures up to 120 degrees. Your skin covers in blisters, and eventually, you self-combust." "Oh my God," I say, fearing for my own health. "What do we need to do to cure this? One human can cure at least a dozen people. We just need blood. We believe that a blood transfusion from the healthy can attack the foreign antibodies and release the virus," he says, balancing his hands against the table. "Do we have any volunteers?" I asked. The door suddenly opens. "You!" the nurse yells, injecting me with some substance. I woke up a while after. I was tied up, and I heard the nurse and doctor talking. I felt myself starting to pass out. I looked to my left to see a large amount of blood being pumped out of my body. It wouldn't be long before I died. "Why isn't it working?" the doctor asked, angrily. "I'm not sure," the nurse said, injecting him with more of my blood. "I think the pollution level is too high." That's when I saw small blisters starting to form on the doctor's hands and arms. He yelped in pain and flailed his arms as the nurse tried to console him. Several of the surgical tools fell on top of the bed where I rested. After a few minutes, nothing was left but his ashes and one of his leather-soled shoes. The nurse ran out of the room in panic. I reached for the scalpel and started to cut through the restraints. I felt my head spinning as I made my way out of the hospital. Now I'm writing this. I've contacted several news platforms, but no one believes me. I've left messages on my mother's phone with no reply. Save yourselves before this spreads. Get out before it's too late. It won't be long before the whole country is contaminated with this virus. Story number 2. I work at a mental hospital, and some of the residents there are a little odd, to put it nicely. Sure, some people are afflicted with the so-called usual conditions, like paranoid schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. Others are less clear-cut, like the one guy we have there that seems to fit into about 7 different personality disorders, and yet doesn't fit anyone just exactly. He definitely requires unconventional treatment. Nothing harmful, just to be extra careful around the guy. There is, however, one really weird type there. A delusional man who has been in the hospital for years now. I've been working at the hospital for a few years now, and this man has been admitted for as long as I've been there. This guy, I'll call him Arthur McJohn, because why not? And I don't want his identity going out there. He has some sort of a unique delusion. It's sort of like Cotard delusion, or walking corpse syndrome. It's similar in the way that he believes he died once in the past. However, it is different in that he thinks he's been resurrected, or actually that he escaped from hell itself. I've learned about the specific details only recently. I knew for the longest time that he has some suicidal tendencies as a result of his delusion. He believes to be having an extraordinary generative ability. In simple terms, he tries to convince everyone that he will come back from the dead once he manages to kill himself. Recently, he started improving, so we let him roam free around his living section of the facility. He still doesn't get to possess or handle anything that might cause him any sort of bodily harm. Anyway, what I'm about to tell you is what he told me one night. He came up to me from the dark hall, slowly, almost as if he was trying to creep up on me when I was busy doing the paperwork on other patients. I didn't even notice him. I was buried in the papers, with the light from my monitor was almost soothing me, immersing me completely into my monotone work process at that moment. "Hey, Jack." Arthur's creaking voice crept up on me from in front of the counter, startling me. "Oh God," I yelped as I jumped from my sit. "I didn't mean to startle you. I'm sorry," the man in the pajama said. "Oh, wow. It's fine," I said as I clenched my chest. "Do you need anything?" "Well, I'd like to talk to someone. Could you, he asked in response. I guess, but let's head to your room first, okay?" I answered, trying to relax in the process. "Sure," he said, and turned back towards the dark hallway. I followed suit. The whole walk to his room was quiet, almost eerily quiet. For a person who wanted to talk, he didn't have much to say, it seemed. Once we made it to his room, he slumped his long and lanky form on the bed and motioned me to sit on the chair by the door. I did. "So, what did you want to talk to me about?" I asked him hesitatingly. His facial expression became serious, something very unusual for him. He was never seen having a serious expression on his face. "Do you know why I'm here?" he asked me, with a cold tone. "You suffer from a condition called Cotard delusion, and your family admitted you here after repeated suicide attempts," I responded fact of the matterly. "Yeah, my family admitted me here 30 fucking years ago. Do I look 60-something to you?" he remarked sarcastically. "You what?" I questioned. I'm pretty sure my whole body language gave out the fact that I wasn't expecting this sort of response. "Yeah. They never told you when they got me here," he remarked with a smirk forming on his face. "That's He cut me off. "Impossible? Sure, you can always read my files and see when I was admitted. Do you know why the older staff members call old Joe Adkins Barbarossa? because he used to have a red beard. He kept on going. Listen, what I've told them, what I've told everyone here, is the truth. I've been to hell and back. There's no way. If you got me here to convince me of something supernatural, I'm gonna have to leave and lock your door again, Arthur, I said, as I stood up from my chair and started picking my pockets for the master key to the patient's rooms. Admittedly, his remark about Dr. Adkins intrigued me. I've never known he had a red beard or anything of that sort. The nickname fits as well. I had to keep my professionalism, however. I was about to leave when Arthur got up from his bed and pulled his shirt up. He pointed at his chest and back, spinning in place. See these? Exactly the same location. That's the bullet that ended my life. I stopped myself from leaving. So you've had a near-death experience and the lack of oxygen damaged your frontal lobe, causing the I was going to say, but he cut me off. I woke up in the morgue, in a body bag. I doubt people who were near death get placed in body bags, Jack. He said, okay, well then, tell me how it was like in hell. I decided to humor the situation as I alert other staff members to arrive just in case. Now you're asking the good questions, Jack, Arthur exclaimed before slumping back down to his bed. He then continued speaking. You see, once you die, you go to this dark, pitch black, dark, wet, silent place. And there, you're alone inside nothing, nothing at all. Just you and the pitch black, silent darkness. There's a feeling of wetness, but it's so dull and muffled that you're not really any wetness. You're not feeling anything in that place. Doesn't sound too bad, I mused, trying to ease up the ever-growing tension in the room. It's lovely for a short time, but then your mind, or soul, or something, that thing inside you begins trying to come up with things to keep you away from the nothing. And that's when something akin to hallucinations starts happening. You hear voices, and you see faces. That's not too bad. But then, my friend, you begin feeling as if you're being followed, chased, preyed upon. The paranoia creeps in on you slowly, and everything becomes darker, more sinister. You begin seeing disturbing visages, and the voices become screams, shrieks of unimaginable suffering. A chill ran down my spine as he said that. Sometime later, the paranoia becomes unbearable, and you begin screaming into the nothingness, but no voice comes out. You try to move around, but you can't feel your body. Your fear only gets worse. You are losing it. The nothingness just eats away at you, slowly, patiently, almost deliberately. God knows how long later, you begin feeling pain. At first, it just small pricks and pokes on your skin, a nice change from the constant nothing. A feeling at last, unpleasant one, but still. Sounds awful. I cut him off. Oh, we're not even at the best part yet, son. The pain eventually grows. It grows endlessly to the point where you feel as if you are constantly shot, stabbed, cut, beat, burned, all at once. You try to run away from the sensations, but you can't. That is when you realize you are frozen in place. That's when I finally realized I'm stuck in place. No, that's when I accepted it. I felt myself beginning to experience fearful discomfort. His tall tale was getting to me. Arthur simply continued. Fear, it becomes the only constant. Eventually, you get used to it. You get used to being always exhausted and in pain, and it becomes fine. Trust me, it does. It sure as fuck exhausts you. But then, at some point, you finally break. They finally manage to break your spirit. Arthur grasped at his pillow tightly and kept on saying, for me, it was when I saw that thing I don't even know. It had a jaw, massive like a cave, and one red, bloodshot eye on top. I can't. Hey, are you all right? I asked, as I started making my way towards him. I'm fine. I just struggle to remember. You see, when this thing came close enough, I think, I began feeling like I being torn apart. Skin from the body, flesh from the bones, organs being pulled out. I even felt like your bones are being crushed. All of this is just the darkness around you that's doing this to you. Oh, and the worst part is when you begin feeling yourself, your core, your soul, your whatever makes you you, being torn apart to bits and pieces. Memories, knowledge, feelings, all is slowly stripped away until there is nothing left. They take your memories, your feelings, the fucking pain, everything, Arthur said, as his voice quivered and tears began streaming down his eyes. Well, now you're safe, and you'll be all right. Okay, Arthur, I said, as my colleagues began showing up at the entrance of his room. I don't know. Man, I barely escaped by the skin of my teeth, clutched at this little memory of when I set my brother accidentally on fire. I held to this memory so tightly, and I didn't even want to. He burst into tears immediately as other staff members began tending to him. I don't want to go back. 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 They'll kill me. They'll kill me. I don't want to go back. He screamed repeatedly as he began thrashing and clawing at the staff members who tried to calm him down. You won't go anywhere, Arthur, I told him before leaving the room to notify the administration. Apparently they had to strap him down, and he didn't sleep ever since. Nothing puts him down. He's been awake and raving for the last week, and doesn't seem to slow down. His vitals are going down, no matter what we do. His health is declining, and he won't fall asleep. I'm afraid exhaustion will claim his life. I do wonder why he keeps screaming about someone's cold hands touching him. Story number 3. This may sound bizarre, but everything I am saying here is true. I need to document it somewhere, in case it repeats itself again. I am Dr. Michael Hyens. I work in the small hospital in a village located 150 miles away from the nearest railway station. The village is isolated. Once every week, the local mail comes from the nearby city, and once every month, the collector's office sends an officer out to see if the village was still holding on. Only on these 2 occasions there seems to be life in the village. People gather around the postmaster for letters and magazines, or around the collector's officer to sound their grievances. Except these 2 occasions, any outsider will mistake the village as dead. This village has a post office, a police station, a school, and a hospital. The hospital is where I work. Now the hospital building is a 2-story structure. We hardly use the upper floor, since we do not get enough patients to lodge them upstairs. We do not have any ambulances, although we have all necessary medical equipments. As one of the important offices of the village, our hospital is connected with internet, which is a luxury in these parts. The staff at the hospital consists of me, Dr. Regnetta, Dr. Braden, Dr. Rosales, surgeon, hospital supervisor Dr. Heaton, and a small team of nurses, janitors, and other staff members. All together, 12 people. We stay without work all day. Hardly anyone comes around. The last case we handled was that of farmer Justin, who had cut his thumb on a sharp piece of wood while working. That was at least a month ago. Since then, no one has come. We try to keep ourselves busy. Dr. Rosales uses the only personal computer in the hospital to play solitaire. Dr. Regnetta spends her day testing her various makeup combinations. I and Dr. Braden play chess, and Dr. Heaton, well, we have never seen this guy leave his cabin. The rest of the staff just loiters around the hospital. All very normal happenings in our small hospital in the isolated village. But that was about to change. Yesterday, too, started out like any other day. We were all at our usual business. I was just about to checkmate Dr. Braden when suddenly, surprising us all, one of our nurses said that we had a patient. Dr. Braden stood up, happy to have left a losing game, and went to see the patient. Dr. Regnetta offered to play, and I set up the pieces again. Just as I was going to play my move, a nurse came around and said that Dr. Braden wanted to see me. Thinking that Braden needed counsel for the diagnosis, I got up and went to the doctor's chamber. The first thing I saw was the patient, and I froze in my tracks. It was a man, tall and well-built. It was easy to recognize his problem. He was, hazy. Now see, I've seen plenty of weird things in this service, but this was certainly something new. Just as a landscape seems hazy under extreme heat, similarly this man, his face, his body, was hazy. If you looked at him, you could see places of his body where there was only light. All physical features were fast disappearing. In my whole medical career of 25 years, I haven't seen anything like this. It wasn't an optical illusion, no funny work of light. The room's windows were closed. I noticed the room's lights weren't on, but it was still illuminated. The light coming from the man's body. He said he was Bill, a carpenter. He was working on a new cupboard someone had commissioned. Since there was inadequate light in the room, he went outside to work, ignoring the blistering sunlight and heat. He was working for 2 hours when he suddenly felt weak. He looked at his hands and realized he was getting hazy. Dr. Braden held Bill's wrist to check for pulse and immediately drew back. "God," he exclaimed, "he's burning." I touched his skin and realized Braden was correct. Bill's skin felt as if it came out of an oven. Braden asked one of the nurses for taking Bill away to one of the hospital beds and administered anesthesia. "We need to cool him down. I think injecting antibodies in the blood will have a quick action. Can you administer it?" Dr. Braden asked. I agreed. We then brought in some cool towels and used it to wipe his body. It was a strange scene. The cool dripping towels became absolute dry as soon as they touched his body. We let him rest and walked to the attached pharmacy for the injection dose. We were just about to finish our work when we heard a scream. We ran towards the sound and found Dr. Rosales. He was sitting on the ground, pointing at something with his finger. We followed his shaking finger and saw the horrific scene. Bill the carpenter was now unrecognizable. All his physical and bodily features were gone. It was now a body of bright yellowish light, only his shape informing the fact that it was a human once. He had no face. Bill looked like a two-dimensional cartoon character from some children's television show. I asked Braden for the injection and went to Bill, shading my eyes from the light. I positioned the instrument and pushed it in his arm. To my surprise, the needle went straight through the light and struck the bed sheet. There was no physical body. When I pulled back the needle, I found it melt. The heat emanating from what had been Bill's body was tremendous. His bed smelt of something on fire. There was a glass of water kept by his bedside, which now shuddered under intense heat. I heard a thumping sound behind and turned to see Dr. Rosales lying on the ground. He blacked out due to heat. We tried to call out to Bill. No answer. Perhaps it was due to the anesthesia, or perhaps because there was no Bill. We decided to abandon the hospital. We would have melted if we stayed there any longer. We asked all the nurses and janitors to escape the room. I went to the supervisor's cabin and knocked. There was no response. I would have tried again, but now it felt as if the entire hospital was on fire. To save my life, I exited the building. We stood outside, seeing Bill's room slowly catch fire from heat. Dr. Regnetta, brave and strong, once went in to drag Bill away. But she came out horrified, saying only one thing: "That's not Bill. That's not Bill. It's only light. Light and heat." Just like that, our hospital caught fire. It was after our and the village folks' great effort that we could control the fire. Once it was safe to go in, we looked for Bill, hoping to at least find some charred remains. There was nothing. Only on the wall of the room where Bill was kept was a deep yellowish silhouette. It was as tall as Bill. Burned pieces of wall ran around the silhouette, limiting its spread. It looked like an outline of a human being. We informed the collector's office, and they said they would be sending someone soon. I got to talk to them about fire safety. Also, Dr. Heaton, our supervisor, arrived to work today. Before I could ask that, how did he escape the fire? He shut himself in the cabin. The fire damaged our hospital. Much of our instruments were destroyed, but miraculously, the personal computer survived. Anyways, I managed to distract Dr. Rosales and use the personal computer to type this down. If you know what caused it, any theory, please tell me. Also tell me if there is a treatment for such ailments. It would be nasty if this disease is communicable. Oh, Dr. Rosales is coming back. So, in the memory of Bill the Carpenter, I end this post here. Goodbye. You've reached the end. But the shadows haven't left you. If this story unsettled you, prove you survived. Like this video, subscribe to Spectral Shadows, and leave a comment with the part that haunted you most. The darkness is always waiting, and so are we. Until next time, don't turn off the lights.